And this came up for me today when I was in a health food shop with this person. And I was in the shop, and the lady was saying to me, it's a terrible time at the moment, and I wanted to go in for some vitamins and I couldn't get hold of them. And I said, well, it's no big deal. And she said, oh no, we're having a lot of shortages in these vitamins. And I said, well, I'll just have to eat the right foods then, won't I? And I said to her, what we've done over the number of years, and they were saying to me when I was actually talking to her, humans, in some cases, we've become quite lazy in the sense of we've had everything on demand, what we needed and what we wanted. And it's like we've taken it for granted of what's the process, like the mechanics of getting certain items to certain people and how shelves being filled. And I was hearing this very much, that the human has tried to we're good at trying to find shortcuts all the time. And so by doing that and cutting people out of the chain of getting supplies to different individuals, we're now having to look at life a little bit differently. So it's actually by making us not be so selfish. It's they said it's like when you give to a child constantly, the child becomes quite selfish and just feels on demand. They should receive something and it should be there automatically. Whereas all these changes now and what's happened over the last couple of years with food shortages and supplies, it's just we need to learn to work with that. We need to learn to realise that we cannot have everything on demand. We must learn to be patient. There's this year, it's really about this also moving forward with the patience of that. So it's not about going out and filling up your larder, because imagine you go out and fill up your larder. What about that person who, one, might not financially be able to do that, or it is an older person or a vulnerable person or somebody who can't get out, and you're taking everything from those individuals. It's about us, yes, taking care of ourselves, but we also need to look after and take care of others. We are as one. And so what happens is when we become I have to keep using that word because I was saying this as in selfish and just thinking of oneself, you create this boundary with others. You are not open to others. And I think they just said very much like when there is a disaster, it brings people together, and through what will to become, it's bringing people together. I kept thinking, they just gave me a vision. When I was a child, I remember back in the day, and I'm 53, so not that 100 years ago or anything like this, but your neighbour down the road, if they wanted a bag of sugar or a cup of sugar, we used to knock on each other's doors and used to say, hey, I'm running short on sugar, can I get you some tomorrow, blah, blah, and you'd pass a cup to the other person. But things have changed over the years. It's like some people don't know their neighbours. There's this looking at materialism, as in one person has more than the other person. There's this form of greed that's happened. So through this whole process of there will be some shortages in some areas, it's really about us learning to work with it. It's really about us to allow ourselves to help out thy neighbour, to be there to assist. It's not to hoard anything, it's to go with the flow. Okay, thinking they just said, no one will go hungry on your planet, in the sense of, especially the communities and the cities that you have, they will not go hungry to the sense of going to hoard things. Maybe it will be for that man next door, that person next door, to realise that child down the road is going to bed hungry. Maybe it's for you to understand that feeling of hunger. Maybe this is what you need to go for, so that you can understand others in countries that need food or water. Maybe this is the time to re-educate the whole planet at this time. So it's not doom and gloom. This is just a lesson for us to learn, to help us to become more more efficient, they just said, but also for us to have an understanding. I remember when I was a child, we were really poor, that as a child, I would go to bed and I had no food in the evening, and like luckily we had breakfast and we might have lunch at school. When I came home, there was no dinner, and it was like I can feel that hunger from somebody else who doesn't eat because they don't have food, because of my journey and what I've been through. but you know, that doesn't happen to me now. But there are so many others out there who really feel the pain of hunger, and maybe, you know, we need to be feeling that the rest of us that have an abundance, you know, and that's what I can think of. They just said that's what periods of when we feel we are so broken. To break free, we must to break through, and to break down, and that is the process. So we break down first, and we must break through this, and then to break free. So it's a process, just like the cycles of nature. The world is just going through a cycle. So it's not to go panic buying for anything. It's just, you can survive without most things, to be honest. So that's what I'm hearing. It doesn't feel as if they're saying, go ahead and hoard up your cupboard and stuff. That's not what they're saying. It is to think of thy neighbour first as well, or two as such. Like, if I think of where I live now, I've got my plum tree, my apple tree, my cherry tree, my fig tree. We have a mulberry bush. I have blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. I grow my own radishes. So I think over, let's say, last 9 years, I've been growing my own stuff, and feeling the benefits of that, and that's maybe what's to come. Communities will be thinking about it. If we think, they just said, a bit like the wars. I used to teach in primary schools about, you know, how in the UK during the Blitz and everything, how open spaces were transformed into allotments. And I used to teach that, so that's something that stayed with me. We might, you know, start looking at that. Who knows? We might look at things differently. But there's definitely change on its way, and we need to go through these processes to create change, basically.